What is up, guys? It is Carly here bringing you day 17 of my 31 days of horror, and today I'm going to be talking one that's been in the stack for a while now, and it's one I've always been curious about because I always thought like I might like it, I might not, I really wasn't too sure, and that is Ichi the Killer from, I believe, the year 2001, of course, directed by Takashi Miike, and, you know, he of course made Audition, which is a movie I do like, for the most part, up until, I've said before, the ending. I feel like I didn't really care for that too much, and, I do like, Asian and, you know, just Japanese horror in general, I come to find. I haven't seen a ton of movies, from the culture, but I come to find that I tend to like them. Now, with this movie in particular, I never knew really much about it necessarily, other than I've always heard people kind of hype it up and make it sound like another sort of gore fest type of movie, sort of like they do with Audition. They make it sound super disturbing and out there. So just based on descriptions, I never really knew if this would be something I would enjoy, but the basic idea of this movie is you have this guy who is in search of his boss, and while he believes that the boss was taken by this rival gang and might still be alive, and so he's kind of in search of him, and he's you know, kind of torturing anyone who kind of gets in the way. And then you have this other guy who is in search of this guy who's looking for his boss. Not gonna pronounce the name really because I suck at names like that, so, but that's kind of the idea here, and then it just comes this big cluster of different things kind of going on. So yeah, like I said, I never really knew if I would enjoy this one, and I will be honest, I really could not get into this too much. It was just a little too out there for me with some of the just dialogue and the way the characters are. There's some sadomasochistic, whatever, however you say that, stuff going on in this movie, which, I mean, it is kind of interesting. There are scenes where I'm like, oh shit, what's going on here? But at the same time, I don't know, it was just a little bit too much for me, I guess. And the movie's also pretty long, and there was a point where I kind of got distracted and kind of lost track of what was really going on in the film and just didn't feel like going back, to be completely honest. So I feel like I am maybe, you know, missing some key plot points and stuff like that. And it's as far as gore and like the torture scenes and stuff like that goes, I do think they're pretty decently done. I feel like it's not nearly as over the top as I was expecting. Sort of like, once again, like to go back to Audition, I feel like this one was definitely a little bit overhyped and overrated when it comes to that stuff, but it's also probably because I've seen so much at this point that nothing necessarily disturbs me besides really specific things, which I've mentioned before, but there's not really much that bothers me too much because to me it all turns out looking a little bit fake. And this movie, I don't think anything looks overly fake, though. I think it's all pretty well done. It's just not as over the top as I had thought. But in general, I don't have a ton to say about this film because, like I said, I feel like I could benefit from giving it a rewatch and maybe paying a little closer attention to everything that's going on and the dialogue and different character dynamics and things like that. But I don't think it's a bad movie at all, of course. This is, of course, Takashi Miike's probably most known film besides Audition, and I think it's a solidly made film. It's directed really well, and from what I could see, the acting is pretty decent in it. I did watch it dubbed, so I feel like that also kind of threw it off a little bit because the dub, of course, is not overly great in some aspects, but if you forget about that, I think the acting is decent, and for that, just based on my own personal opinion as well as the way I think the film is made, I give this a 7 out of 10. Kind of have trouble rating this one because I wasn't, you know, I always try to mix my personal liking of the movie in with how good the movie actually is, as well as far as direction and acting goes. And I think this movie is pretty well made. It just really wasn't something I was overly into. So 7 out of 10 for this one. Thank you guys once again for joining me here for day 17, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 18.